All right, everybody, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. And we're a little bit late. Again, there's baseball on. I think most of you guys get it. But I did want to go ahead and put together the injury report video for today. We got our second injury report this week. We'll know more tomorrow, probably sometime in the early afternoon, hopefully shortly after the Huskies game ends. But I did want to go ahead and get this stuff out because there is actually some pretty interesting stuff here. We got the latest from Brady Henderson. He posted a picture that has both sides of it. So we're going to go ahead and go with that today. And I can tell you this, there is some good news here, but there's also some not so good news. So be prepared for both. Be prepared for both elements of it. And before we get to the statuses of today, let's run the Sleeper promo. Be right back. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, welcome back. So let's go ahead and get to it here. Starting with the Seahawks side of things. The one thing that's, I think, fairly clear at this point, Derek Hall's not playing. Derek Hall did not participate in practice again today, so that is 2 straight DNPs, and like I've said before, I kind of made my peace with the fact that he was going to miss a few games, at least 2, when he got hurt, and they announced that it was relatively significant. So, yeah, he is not going to be going this week, I don't think. At the very least, he did not practice today. Other than that, though, we've got a wide range of outcomes here. We got let's just start with the guys who were full participants today. You got DeMarcus Lawrence. Not that he was ever hurt, so whatever. He was always going to play, but good to know. Nehemiah Pritchett was back to a full participant today. Not that we really care that much because we don't want him to play, but he did go from limited yesterday to full today, and I guess that's good. Jaron Reed was a full participant again today. Not that there was ever much doubt there. Leonard Williams was a full participant today. Not that he was ever really hurt. So whatever. And here's the big one. This one is kind of the your little plot twist here. Devin Witherspoon, full participant. So great news there. At this point, it would be a very big surprise if he does not play on Monday night. So Witherspoon looks like he will be back. Hopefully he can stay back for an extended period now. So that's the big good news today, I think. Devin Witherspoon looks like he's going to be good to go. And that is very, very important. All right, so now the guys who were limited today, we've got Josh Jones, which, again, whatever. He's a reserve. Not really all that important for us right now. Julian Love, still limited, so a little bit of a question mark there, I guess. Generally speaking, I feel like players, especially veteran players that are limited throughout the week, do play when the game comes. But who knows? We will see. It's always possible that there's something going on here that's a little bit more serious than or is initially led on. And it is a hamstring. That is something that can linger. That is something that can come back. I don't want to rule anything out. I think it's looking okay for Julian Love, though. And here's the kind of interesting one. And I would call this bad news because it's a regression. Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen was limited today after being full yesterday. And they didn't list any kind of a new injury. They just said concussion related. So that would imply something went backwards. Now, I wouldn't be alarmed about this. This could just be a rest thing as much as anything else for a guy who is, trying to make his way back from an injury. But there's at least something to be a little bit concerned about as we go into the final day of practice before this game. So that's it for the Seahawks side of things. Wide range of outcomes here, but overall pretty good. Certainly better than last week. Certainly better than it's looked in a couple weeks here. So I'm liking what I see here for the most part. Little worried about Woolen, but I don't know. I have a good feeling that I think that if he had regressed to not practicing, that would be a bigger concern. Okay, so Friday practice for Houston. Things actually got a little bit more interesting today. So Danico Autry, still full, so we're not thinking about that really. Jalen Reed, their safety, full participant, so not really thinking about that. Elijah Huzzy, limited, so there is something going on there, but he's not one of their top players anyway, so that doesn't do much for us. The interesting thing today, and really the one thing Houston has on their side that is kind of up in the air, would be Christian Kirk, who, after not being on the report yesterday at all, is now limited with a hamstring. And like I just said about Julian Love, hamstrings, you just don't know. And sometimes, out of nowhere, it creeps up on you, gets worse, and suddenly you're missing the game. And Christian Kirk is, I mean, he's not been a big-time player for them, and they do have a lot of guys that they're trying to ease into the lineup ahead of him maybe. But as of right now, I think you can make an argument that Christian Kirk is their number 2 wide receiver behind Nico Collins. So that would be significant. That would be something that is going to negatively affect them, because whatever little you think of Christian Kirk at this point, and I don't think a lot of him, he is the best they have until a guy like a Jaden Higgins or a Jalen Noel can get up to the point where he is able to take on a full load of number 2 receiver targets. That's it for Houston, though. Houston's fairly clean. Houston's got a pretty good injury situation. So they're certainly in a pretty decent spot right now. Like I said, their big problems right now are the guys who are on IR, guys like a Cade Stover, who, as I said yesterday, would probably be a fairly significant part of that offense. All right, so that is going to do it for this injury report video. I'm going to go watch the rest of this baseball game. By the time this video is posted, the baseball game will probably be over or almost over. So, yeah. Probably no more videos later today, but you never know. Maybe I'll make something. Not much can happen this late at night, though, to be perfectly honest. This late in the day, you don't typically get a lot of news announcements. So, yeah. Tomorrow, probably not streaming the Huskies game. I will do a post-game video, and then I will do another injury report video for the Seahawks whenever they release their stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, Sunday, a little bit of an irregular schedule this week. We will do our pregame. See you guys soon. Go Hawks.